In 2026, FIFA's about to pull off one of the boldest, gameplay tweets in modern World Cup history. Mandatory hydration breaks in every half of every match, no matter the weather. Sun blazing? Sure. Cool evening in Vancouver? Still stopping. Indoor stadium with AC that could chill a penguin? Yep, everyone drinks. Clock pauses, broadcast spree. And if you're thinking that sounds suspiciously like a commercial break wearing a wellness hoodie, you're not alone. Because before FIFA even finished the sentence, fans were already slandering the move as Americanization of football, aka turning the World Cup into a slow-motion ad buffet with 2 extra guaranteed slots per match. Today we're going to be breaking down how a 3-minute water stop became a global debate about player safety, broadcast money, and the creeping feeling that football is being formatted into quarters just like the Super Bowl. This is the story of FIFA's 2026 hydration break rule, why it's happening, why people hate it, and what it reveals about everything else swirling around the 2026 World Cup. And trust me, you're going to want to stay until the end, because this hydration break drama is just the opening act for a tournament loaded with controversies. To understand why FIFA is forcing hydration breaks, even when it's not hot, you gotta zoom out a little bit. World Cup 2026 is said to be the biggest tournament ever. There's 48 teams instead of 32, there's 104 matches instead of 64. That's more games, more travel, more bodies on the field, and more logistical stress on players and officials. Now add the elephant in the stadium, heat. A lot of host cities are projected to face serious heat stress risk during summer kickoffs, based on recent heat research and the 2025 Club World Cup preview. So FIFA looked at the risk and said, okay, hydration breaks for safety, this makes sense. Except here's the twist, hydration or cooling breaks used to be conditional, only triggered when temperatures hit a certain threshold. In 2026, they're automatic and standardized, every match around a 22-minute mark of each half. The takeaway here is that sometimes the solution is real, but when a brand or federation makes it universal and permanent, it changes the meaning from safety tool to new product feature. FIFA announced the rule publicly like it was a wholesome wellness update. 3-minute hydration breaks for each half regardless of weather to protect players. But the internet heard 2 extra timeouts, 2 extra ad windows. And to be fair, that's not paranoia. A dedicated stop mid-half is basically a broadcast dream, a clean, predictable moment for commercials and sponsor activations. Analysts have already pointed out that the breaks effectively create a pseudo 4-quarter structure, giving broadcasters more structured inventory. So fans went full comment section Sherlock. This is an American football now. Hydration breaks equal hydration for FIFA's bank account. They're watering players so they can milk ads. And once Americanization becomes the meme, you don't unring that bell. But hold tight, because next we talk about why FIFA didn't just step into a debate about health, they stepped into a debate about the soul of the sport. The takeaway here is that if you roll out a change that benefits safety and revenue, you better be ready for people to assume the money came first. Let's talk data, because FIFA isn't pulling this out of thin air. The heat problem is real, and 2026 is basically a perfect storm of more games, more travel, more summer, more risk. First, the tournament load is heavier than ever. The World Cup 2026 jumps to 48 teams and 104 matches over about 6 weeks. That's a massive increase in total minutes played, and it widens the pools of teams who may not have the same depth or recovery infrastructure as elite squads. Second is venue heat risk isn't hypothetical, it's been modeled. A recent heat risk report cited by FIFA flagged 10 of the 16 host cities as high risk for extreme heat stress during the tournament. Independent climate and sports science research also points to a high likelihood of dangerous WBGT or heat stress conditions in several North American cities during daytime kickoffs. Third, we just watched the preview trailer, and it was sweaty. The 2025 Club World Cup in the US got hit with punishing heat waves, with players reporting dizziness and visible fatigue, and matches seeing temperatures breaking 40 degrees Celsius or 104 Fahrenheit. It became a loud warning sign for 2026, and here's the operational point FIFA keeps stressing. Previously, cooling breaks only happened when kickoff temps were over 31 degrees Celsius, and usually around the 30-minute mark. Now it's automatic, it's 22 minutes in and universal, so there's no guessing, no inconsistent referee calls, and no why did that match get a break and not this one. So yes, the numbers support some kind of standardized safety measure, but numbers don't stop fans from asking the other question. Okay, but why every match, even the ones that are cool? Player welfare data can justify the need for breaks. However, it can't automatically justify the formatting of breaks into a guaranteed broadcast-friendly rhythm. This is where the reaction goes from to full meme tribunal. Football has a sacred pacing. 45 minutes, flow state, halftime, repeat. The sport's identity is built on uninterrupted momentum. It's not just how the game works, it's how it feels. Mandatory hydration breaks rewrite that feeling into something more segmented. Stop at 22 minutes, restart, stop at halftime, repeat. To fans, that looks like accidental quarterization, not literally 4 quarters on paper, but structurally, 2 predictable pauses, which equals 2 mini halftimes. And that triggers a specific fear: broadcast control. Because in modern sports media, predictable stoppages aren't neutral, they're inventory. A clean, guaranteed mid-half stop is a perfect moment for ads, sponsor animations, hydration partner of the match segments, studio reset commentary, and branded replays. So the online narrative became, this isn't hydration, this is a commercial break wearing a water bottle. And since the tournament is in North America, the backlash gets tagged as Americanization. Not necessarily because hydration is American, but because the US sports scene is already ad-stop structured. Fans fear the World Cup bending towards that model, and FIFA's commercial reputation gives the theory oxygen. Even people who support the safety logic still dislike the knock-on effects, the momentum disruptions, the tactical timeout opportunities for coaches, more artificial pacing, and a creeping sense that the broadcast schedule is shaping the sport. That's the real cultural tension. It's not water bad, it's why does this feel like a TV mechanic? The takeaway is that in sport, perception is physics. If the change moves like an ad break, fans treat it like an ad break, no matter how many medical charts you show. These hydration breaks didn't just show up in a vacuum. They dropped into a tournament already being side-eyed for a number of different reasons. The first is the 48-team expansion debate. FIFA says it's about inclusivity, but fans worry that it's about dilution. More teams means more games, more fatigue, and a longer grind to win the trophy. The second is travel and logistics across 3 countries. This is the first World Cup that is spread across 3 nations and 16 cities. It's massive, but it's also chaotic for teams and fans dealing with long flights and time zones. The turf or grass drama is that many US stadiums or NFL venues built for artificial turf, but FIFA requires natural grass, so venues are doing expensive temporary grass conversions, and players are nervous about field inconsistency. Ticket and pricing drama? FIFA's ticket phases have been criticized for murky pricing, plus a resale model that can spike prices heavily with demand. Fans see it as legalized scalping. Finally is commercial overload. Even before hydration breaks, fans were already bracing for the most sponsor-heavy World Cup ever. 2 guaranteed in-game stops just pour gasoline on that worry. The takeaway is that when a tournament stacks issues, expansion, travel fatigue, turf worries, pricey tickets, and heavy commercialization, even sensible rule changes get interpreted through a cynical lens. Here's the truth. This rule is both sensible and risky. 2 things can be true at once, and that's why this is blowing up. What FIFA is right about is that the heat risk is escalating and player bodies are not renewable resources. 2025's Club World Cup basically acted as a stress test, and it failed in public. Medical experts and FIFPro have been pushing FIFA to take more proactive measures for 2026, including more frequent breaks, longer halftime, and safer kickoff timing. Standardizing hydration breaks also prevents a messy scenario where one ref allows a break, another one doesn't, and players get inconsistent protection across venues. The universal rule removes that roulette. So in a vacuum, yes, this is a good welfare decision. What FIFA is wrong about though is that it is treating this like a medical memo when it's actually a cultural change. A mid-half stoppage doesn't just protect players, it repatterns the viewing ritual, and rituals are emotional. Even neutral changes can feel like identity theft if you don't handle them carefully. And the biggest mistake is that they haven't nailed the narrative. Because if FIFA's story is player safety first, but fans' lived experience is more ads first, then the audience story always wins. Also, by locking breaks in regardless of temperature, FIFA opened itself up to the easiest criticism on earth. If it's about heat, why are we doing it when it's not hot? That single logic gap drags the move out of safety territory and into skepticism. Finally, FIFA's broader 2026 context makes everything worse. with existing concerns already about expansion strain, heavy travel spread, natural grass conversions in NFL stadiums, and pricing or commercial intensity, fans are already primed to assume the worst. So the hydration rule becomes less about water and more about what fans believe FIFA is optimizing for. FIFA's safety logic is solid, FIFA's trust deficit is not. A welfare move without a trust bridge becomes a branding problem. Will hydration breaks ruin the World Cup? No. Players will hydrate, games will continue, football will still be football. But culturally, this is a warning light, because FIFA is basically saying we are optimizing the product now, and fans are replying, cool, but don't optimize it into something else. Hydration breaks are small, but they're symbolic, like the first crack in a dam. If a World Cup feels too commercial, too fragmented, too engineered, the backlash won't be about water. It'll be about identity. The takeaway is that 2026 World Cup isn't just hosting more teams, it's testing how much change the sports culture will tolerate. So what can organizations learn from Hydration Break Gate 2026? Number one, safety changes need airtight messaging, because if you don't control the narrative, TikTok will. Number two, optics matter more than intent, because people judge what a change does, not what you say it does. Number three is that trust is real currency, because once fans think you're cash first, every move you make looks suspicious. Number four, context is everything. A rule change in a calm environment feels normal. A rule change in a controversy-stacked environment feels conspiratorial. Number five is football isn't just a game, it's a ritual. So you interrupt that ritual and you're not tweaking sport, you're tweaking culture. And don't click away just yet, because the final lesson is the one that FIFA needs most. You can't modernize the game if supporters think you're monetizing it. FIFA's mandatory hydration breaks might genuinely protect players from a hotter, bigger, more demanding World Cup. But the backlash proves something even deeper. Fans don't just watch football for outcomes, they watch for the flow. So when a federation changes that flow, even for good reasons, it forces everyone to ask a bigger question. Is this still the same game we fell in love with, or a more stoppable, sponsor-friendly version of it? Either way, come 2026, we're all going to be watching, and apparently sipping water on a schedule. I'm Rob, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments which team you're looking forward to winning the World Cup in 2026.